welcome to episode 189 of the Wheatley podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. As you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm on my own this week. Decided to do a solo episode. So, looking forward to that. I want to say thank you very much to Rachel Ferrick for coming on last week. We spoke about fashion, a lot about mental health, which was obviously something we need to touch base on more often with the guests, but we always mention it, but you know what I mean? It was a really interesting take from Rachel, especially with regards to putting herself out there on social media with her, fashion content, and also some of the modeling she does, and, her thoughts about her body, and kind of had a very interesting chat about how people use the phone to cover their face sometimes when they're taking photos. Because maybe they don't feel that they're looking particularly good that day. And it's something silly maybe of me not to have copped onto that. That was what was happening. But anyway, regardless of that, thank you, Rachel. You can support us on Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in the description. Never feel that you have to do it. But for everyone who does, thank you very much. I'm tired, I'll be honest. Now this is recording about 2 weeks before this will come out, by the way. So it'll be a different, I'll be feeling different in 2 weeks. But I really get, my sleep was interrupted for the last 3 days, and I'm just wrecked. And I really hate alcohol, to be honest. People who know me know I gave up many, many years ago, and I haven't taken it up again. Don't worry. But the way people act on alcohol is very, I guess, off-putting to me now. It used to be. And I'm talking about, by the way, I'm not talking about a couple of glasses of wine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about binge, and how people become very selfish and very unaware of their surroundings, and maybe the other people who may be affected by what they're doing. And just so you know, when you are drunk, you are boring as hell. That's just a fact. There's no other way around that. You're boring. And it's I don't like being around drunk people anyway. Even when I was drunk, I don't think I like being around drunk people. But anyway, just had to get that off my chest, I suppose. Why this episode? I thought it'd be interesting. 41 songs for 41 years that I've been born. So I set myself a couple of rules, just because I didn't want it to become kind of samey, in the sense of, I wanted to, initially I was going to name just the best song or my favorite song of that year and why. But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of name a few. So I tried to pick out a few that were interesting to me that year, or that I liked, because it gives you a kind of idea of what I was listening to, or what I was interested in that period, because all our musical tastes change over time. I will go into a little bit of detail on why I picked the song that I picked, and when it came about for me, or because certain songs didn't happen, obviously, that, like in 1983, I wasn't tuned into the current pop charts at 1 year old, 1 years of age, 1 years of age, yes, I would say. So another thing I wanted to do is, look, some of my favorite albums came out in certain years. 97, for instance, OK Computer came out. I could have picked 5 or 6 songs off that, but I didn't, because it becomes samey then. So I picked my favorite song off that album and used that as the song, and sometimes that was the song that won, and sometimes it wasn't. I didn't just want to name 6, say, Nirvana songs or Talking Head songs, because it would get repetitive and stuff, and what's the point in that? So I have 2 copies in front of me, and my normal copy of notes is the list of the winners of each year, the winners, if they're going to get a prize or something. But, the one that I thought was the best of that year. And then my other little notebook, which my mom bought me a long time ago, as you can see there, if you're watching it, it's a little Andy Warhol ideas journal, backward in this image. But it's actually cool. It's got some cool little drawings and artwork by Andy Warhol, and some of his quotes, which I don't know. Sometimes he says things, and I'm just, if I come across one when I was going through the episode, I'll mention it. But there was one I saw, and I was like, oh yeah, everybody must have a fantasy, and it's written there as if it's an incredible insight into the human mind, but not really. But anyway, let's get started. So I was born in May 1982. I will be covering that full year, by the way. The songs from January to May count just because I wasn't around. So it was particularly an uneventful year for music in my in my mind. But there's only three songs on the list. You'll notice that actually some years are like there's a huge amount of songs. And other years are quite small, but it doesn't really matter because to be honest, every song I've picked I love. So it's not like there was a really, you know, uneventful year and I was just left with two to pick from and I just picked one because it was an okay song. Every song that I picked as the winner, I loved. So that's the good thing. So there was no songs I had to pick just to kind of fill in a space. Although there was one year where it very much nearly happened. So 1982, the three songs that I have: "Sexual Healing" by Marvin Gaye, "A Town Called Malice" by The Jam, and the winner, "Rock the Casbah" by The Clash. Now, I didn't come about "Rock the Casbah" by The Clash until I maybe was in my teens, maybe my 20s even. I don't, I do like some Clash songs. I'm not a huge fan of the Clash, but I do like I said, I do like a number of songs. "Rock the Casbah" is, if you were to start out with something like, say, the Clash started with White Riot, and then go into some of their earlier punk because they're labeled punk to start with, and go into London Calling and that. "Rock the Casbah" is so different. I love bands who change over time. Obviously, it's important not to just be like one note and keep playing the same stuff. "Rock the Casbah" is so much like, well, it's quite piano led actually. Um, but it's one of those songs where everybody gets the lyric wrong, and I'm still not sure what the lyric is, and I probably should Google it now, but I'm not going to because I kind of like the idea that everybody doesn't get it right. I'm pretty sure he says, "Cherie don't like it, rock the Casbah," or else he says, she really don't like it, rock the Casbah. That's probably what it is. I don't know. But go and listen to it. There's a mad video for it as well with like it. I can remember an armadillo in it for some reason, but it's in the kind of a desert setting. I was very fortunate to see Paul Simon and Terry. Oh, what's his name? I was going to say Terry Jones. He's from Monty Python, or is this Terry Jones? The guitarist and the bass player from the Clash playing with the Gorillaz live in 2010 in Dublin. So I was very fortunate to see half of the Clash play. But I hope you all go and kind of listen to these songs and kind of make your own minds up. But I do think "Rock the Casbah" is a classic. You'll probably know it if you don't know the name of the song. Um, you probably know the song itself. It is very popular. So that's 1982. 1983, a little bit better. A few more songs, not many, but a few more. Like the 80s isn't my decade until it gets kind of closer to the end of the 80s, to be honest. But the songs I picked is "This Must Be the Place" by Talking Heads, "Joker Man" by Bob Dylan, "Wrapped Around Your Finger" by The Police, and the winner, some may be surprised, others won't be because they know how much I love the song, "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" by Cyndi Lauper. I did a little cover of this song on one of the live broadcasts I did, whatever they're called, one of the live videos I did. And I mean, this is the most joyful song probably on the list. I remember working in Dunstores and it came on the radio and I was like bopping to it in the back of the deli. And one of the lads there was laughing, knowing that, I really like the song. The opening guitar part is just brilliant. Cyndi Lauper's vocals, obviously, class. The lyrics are great. The doo-wop kind of backing vocals, kind of call and response in a way, not full on call and response vocals, but in a way. But it's just a great song. I have it on the playlist in the gym when it comes on. Everybody seems to like it. And I like Cyndi Lauper. I think, she was one of a kind. Her voice is pretty spectacular. And she was one of those, probably overshadowed by Madonna a little bit. But she was definitely a pioneer. And yeah, "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." It had to be the winner, really. Even though the other three songs that are on my list are actually pretty epic, to be fair. So we move because we've got a lot of years to get through. I'm quite old. 1984. "I Feel For You" by Shaka Khan, "When Doves Cry" by Prince, "The Killing Moon" by Echo and the Bunnymen, "So Central Rain" by REM, "It's My Life" by Talk Talk, "Bad" by U2, which should really win, you would think, because it's my favorite U2 song. and I'm really a big fan of U2. But the winner, and it's the winner because it's my third favorite song of all time. How Soon Is Now by the Smiths. If you don't know the song, um, you might know the guitar part. It's very memorable, echoey kind of. So it's kind of a. I won't do that too much. I'll try not to do my sound effects too much, but then the slide kind of part really comes in, and it's got this kind of reverb on it. Um, there's a line where Morrissey, not my favorite person, where Morrissey says, "There's a club where you like to go. You could meet somebody who really loves you, but you go and you stand on your own, and you leave on your own, and you go home and you cry and you want to die." Summing up, uh, Thatcher's Britain. What's that? I don't know why I'm having a dig at Thatcher, but the very much like the idea of what people believe Morrissey was or is, and Johnny Marr's guitar parts in it are just. I mean, the first time I heard it, I don't know how it hit me. Um, obviously I couldn't remember the reaction I had, but I was trying to, be cool and listen to people that are bands that people considered cool, and then I stumbled across the Smiths because they kept getting referenced by people like Noel Gallagher and Tom York and people that I kind of had admired at that time. Well, still do admire today. And I listened to it and I thought that's probably the coolest sound I've ever heard. That guitar, the two guitar parts, I should say, that Johnny Marr does in it, and the consistent drums and bass because they're great, brilliant. Rourke and Joyce, the bass and drummer respectively, are brilliant at what they do, but they're just very consistent in that they don't really go outside of the parts that they start playing, and it's just so good. It's just, and it's a long song as well. I do love a long song once you're grooving with it. So go listen to How Soon Is Now. It could change your life, man. 1985. Again, kind of quiet. Talking Heads pop up again with you might notice I'm quite a big Talking Heads fan. Road to Nowhere. I know my dad loves that song because it was on a compilation that we had, like the Millennium compilation, obviously from 1999. It came out and it was voted by people, and that was on it. He said that was his favorite song on the album, even though Imagine and stuff was on it. Maps and Legends by REM, West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys, but the winner is it didn't come out 2 years ago on Stranger Things. It's Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. I was one of those people that was kind of bemused, but also, I suppose, happy that, there was a lot of younger people listening to it and realizing what a great song it was. And, she got back to number one a couple of years ago with it because it was in the program Stranger Things. But if you do follow, if you have kind of followed Kate Bush's career, or you've gone back retrospectively to kind of look at what she's done as a solo artist, it's incredible. She's made some brilliant songs. Wuthering Heights. Unfortunately, I wasn't born then, but that probably would have got in on the year. I think it was 79 or something. But Running Up the Hill is just incredible. The sounds, the production, and a thing, I might forget to mention production in a lot of these songs, but the production in a lot of these songs that I picked, it's so important. But Kate Bush's lyrics are just amazing. She's just in the best possible way a freak, in the sense of how good she is, and she's a recluse, which I also quite like about her. And she doesn't release album after album, so when they do come out, they make a big statement. There's not many. Well, there's no one like Kate Bush, so I'm guarantee. I would almost guarantee most of you have heard Running Up That Hill, but if you haven't, again, go and listen to it. 1986 starts to get interesting from here. Well, it was interesting before this, but The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and The Range. Don't Get Me Wrong by The Pretenders. Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. That was very close to winning this. Cemetery Gates by The Smiths. Rise by Pill, or Public Image Limited, as they are known. Fall on Me by REM. Wild Wild Life by Talking Heads, who pop up again. REM is starting to pop up a bit now. And Leper Messiah by Metallica. Bow to Leper Messiah, indeed. But the winner, it's in my top 10 songs of all time. I think if I looked at the list now, I believe it's sixth. Yes, I do have a list of it. Graceland by Paul Simon. It's perfect. It's one of the in pop music, one of the perfect songs, because there's not, I don't think there's a huge amount of perfect songs, everything about it. The Mississippi Delta is shining like a national guitar. Don't even know what it means, but it's one of my favorite opening lines. The idea he's taking a trip to Graceland with his son, I think is, or his stepson. Anyway, he's the child by my first marriage. No, his son. Um, the lyrics are great, like a story. Um, the music, the whole Graceland album played by South African musicians is just incredible. Just to be, I don't know where, how do you, I suppose you just get the best session players in South Africa and go from there. But it's amazing. The whole album's amazing. But Graceland is in my top 6 songs. Again, on the playlist in the gym, whether people like it or not. Do you think it's a song people can train to? I don't know, but they are. 1987. Mandinka by Sinead O'Connor, Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac, Sign of the Times by Prince, Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess, Father Figure, George Michael, The One I Love, again REM, and Rocket Queen by Guns N' Roses. They make their first appearance. But the winner is U2, Red Hill Mining Town. Now, people will know Joshua Tree because because With or Without You or The Streets of No Name. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Bullet the Blue Sky. Every song pretty much could have been a single on the album. It's again one of those ones that just you don't skip tracks on it. But the reason I probably prefer Red Hill Mining Town is because of Bono's vocals on it. I don't think he reproduced it on stage at any point during the tour for Joshua Tree. I don't think he could. It was like, one of those moments where he reaches probably the end point of the notes he can hit without going into falsetto, if you know what I mean. And at that time, he wasn't singing falsetto. That didn't really kind of come till um, the Octum Baby, or maybe even a bit later than Octum Baby, maybe Zeropa. But he started to, he hit every note, and it's so good, and there's a strain on it, and it sounds brilliant. It's a great lyrics. It's obviously very American, and Joshua Tree was kind of inspired hugely by America or Americana, but it's so good. And a few years ago they did the tour 30th anniversary, was it? Yeah, 30th anniversary for Joshua Tree, and he did a vocal for it, and there was a horn section, and he also had to change the octave because or change the key. But he sings it so well, and they released an album recently with some of their own songs remade or rearranged more, I should say, and it's great. There's a great version of it on it, but to hear him hit those notes is amazing. 1988. Okay, we've got Straight Outta Compton, N.W.A., Fisherman's Blues by. I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to forget who was by. No, I didn't know it was going to be. Oh, the Waterboys. I'm sorry, the Waterboys. I nearly Googled it, but I didn't have to. Handle with Care by the Traveling Wilburys. Suede Head by Morrissey. The Valley Road by Bruce Hornsby and the Range pops up again. A Little Respect by Erasure. Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. Orange Crush, REM come in again. But the winner, and they pop up again. Is this their first win? I believe it is. Talking Heads, Nothing But Flowers. I first heard this song, would you believe, in the film Clerks 2. It's not a good film, but the opening shot is them driving along a road in obviously in America, and you're seeing McDonald's and all these kind of places, and this is playing in the background, and I had to check at the end of credits to see who the song was by, and I realized it was Talking Heads. It's got a real calypso kind of feel to it, the kind of tin drum sound. But I love the lyrics because it's the idea of now that we've changed to like a concrete jungle, can we go back to the natural habitat of trees and grass and fields and lakes and all those kind of things? And this is from 1988, and people are probably still thinking the same thing now. So like David Byrne, he was always ahead of his time, but certainly in this song, people might not know this song, but again, give it a listen. It's a very happy song, but it's one of those ones where the lyrics aren't quite as happy. 1989, as Public Enemy would say. We've got Lullaby by The Cure, Waterfall by The Stone Roses, The Sensual World by Kate Bush, When Will You Come Home by Galaxy 500, Blue by Nirvana, Rome by the B-52s, and the winner, again, probably top 10. I think it's top 10 of my favorite songs, Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. Um, I haven't done a cover of that song. I've done a cover of some Tom Petty songs and put them up in 9, but I just can't get that note. Everybody knows it. There's my favorite part in the song though is the backing vocal that maybe halfway, 3/4 way through the song, and they're just like free falling and I'm free falling and I'm free. That's all they're doing. They're not like there's nothing elaborate or over the top about the Heartbreak. It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, isn't it? Or is it? Actually, I think it might be Tom Petty on his own, and it's George Harrison and Jeff Lynne who do the backing vocals in that, or else I'm getting my songs mixed up with Tom Petty. But it might be George Harrison and Jeff Lynne, and Jeff Lynne may have co-wrote it. Do you know what? I didn't want to start doing this, going in and checking, who wrote this and who wrote that. I kind of wanted it to be a bit freer, but if you've listened to me for a long time, you know that this is impossible for me to do. Yeah, no, it is. It's who originally wrote Tom Petty? Tom Petty. What? That's not true. Is it? Songwriters Hall of Fame. Tom Petty originally wrote Free Fallin' to make Jeff Lynne laugh. Okay, well there you go. But it wasn't Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, all right. It was Tom Petty solo. Everybody knows Free Fallin'. I don't need to talk anymore about it. If you don't love Free Fallin', I don't know what you're gonna love. 1990, Ireland make the World Cup for the first time. We've got Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode, Heaven in Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins, Real Real Gone by Van Morrison, and the winner, Step On by the Happy Mondays. I mean, the opening piano, din, 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 din. The line, "You're twisting my melon, man." I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to twist someone's melon, but he keeps talking about, "You're twisting my melon." No, he did say melon. He says, "Call the cops." I got to see them live in Slane in like 1998, and Bez. If people don't know who Happy Mondays are, Bez is the dancer with the maracas who just kind of does the same move over and over again, but yet is immensely watchable, and you just got to stare at him for the whole concert. I also got to see Sean Ryder, who was the singer of the Happy Mondays, or who is the singer, play with his band Black Grape in 1996. That's a deep cut there. But Step On is a proper party anthem, and it was one of those ones that, the Manchester scene, everybody was taking or ecstasy and going to the what's it called, the Hacienda Club. But it's brilliant because it's part rock, part dance, part pop. They also had a song called Kinky Afro. You should probably check that out too. But yeah, now we're getting into my territory. I've spoken about this before. 9-year-old Derek starts getting really into music, and this is where he ends up. So we have In Bloom by Nirvana. Look at this lineup. Even Flow by Pearl Jam. Outshined by Soundgarden. Zoo Station by U2. Near Wild Heaven by R.E.M. Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Hunger Strike by Temple of the Dog. Loaded by Primal Scream. Like, that's an insane list for 1 year. But the winner goes to the probably over the top, but still easily my favorite Guns N' Roses song, Estranged, on the Use Your Illusion 2 album. It goes on for 9 minutes, I think. The live version goes on even longer. Matt Sorum, the drummer, got so pissed off during the recording because he couldn't keep there's a lot of stops and starts, and for the drummer it's kind of throwing him off, I suppose, and he was getting frustrated playing it. But when you see him playing it live, he's perfect. It's kind of Axl Rose's big, Wizard of Oz moment, or maybe Gone with the Wind moment, that spectacular song that he he clearly loves more than a lot of the other ones that he co-wrote, because he talks about it when he's playing it. He'll say, "This is, this is my thing," and it's about depression, I think, and about, like, taking too much drugs and too much, drinking too much, and um, the opening line is when you're talking to yourself and nobody's home, and it's about like being lonely and stuff. And he was kind of they talked about him as the Wizard of Oz, or at least the person behind the curtain, and he'd lock himself away and stuff. And maybe I connect to it too much, but if you don't know Estranged, yep, it's on Spotify. 1992, really get into it now. The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, REM. I mean, they've probably made every year. They made a lot of albums. Rooster, Alison Chains, Freedom, Rage Against the Machine, Little Bird by Annie Lennox, I Nearly Lost You by the Screaming Trees, Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam, which was very close to getting it, but the winner is Peter Gabriel, Digging in the Dirt. If people are lucky enough to have my phone number, it's on, you can put your little thing on WhatsApp. So it's like, I'm using WhatsApp, or hi everyone, or whatever. And mine says Digging in the Dirt. Digging in the dirt, find a what? Digging in the dirt. Stay with me, I need support. This was written, I know, around the time of his divorce. And I know there's songs on that album about worrying about losing his daughter, and the connection he had with his daughter, because she wouldn't talk to him at the time because he cheated on her mother, and she sided with her mother. But there's actually a happy ending to it, that she did tour with him an awful lot then after that, as a backing singer and a co singer at the front as well in some of the songs. But Digging Dirt is one of those songs that's very hard to figure out what it's about, but I do, certain lines in it kind of resonate. The bass playing by Tony Levin is ridiculous as always. He's an outrageously good musician. Peter Gabriel always has great musicians, but just Tony Levin stands out for me. I've seen him, Peter Gabriel, live a couple of times, and Tony Levin was amazing. And just listen to the kind of groove on that song. Yeah, and in particularly live, it's even better live. And that's not always the case with bands, So 1983, Serve the Servants, Nirvana, Cheru Brock, Smashing Pumpkins, Chemical World by Blur, Slide Away, The Verve, Living on the Edge, Aerosmith, Ordinary World, Duran Duran, Animal Nitrate by Suede, Zooropa by U2, and the winner is Dissident by Pearl Jam. A song I didn't kind of come across for quite a while. I only really listened to the album 10, their debut album with Pearl Jam, and I never really got to the second or third album for a long time. And then I started listening to it. Is it on Versus? I think it's on Versus. And it's incredible. Like, again, it's a song that Eddie Vedder can't really sing live because of really pushing it in the studio, and his voice is right on the edge, which I always love when they do that, just really leave it all out there for the recording. Because look, you do live stuff all the time, but that recording's the one that's going to go down in history. And that album is going to go down history. Versus, I'm kind of, in my mind, I've solidified the fact it's on Versus. But I don't really know what it's about. I just think the guitar part, it's very rock like. It just goes to show that Pearl Jam were never grunge, if whatever grunge means. I don't even believe it was a real genre, to be honest. So, okay, here's a quote from Andy Warhol I've got in my little notebook here. I broke something today, and I realized I should break something once a week to remind me how fragile life is. See, I wouldn't do that. Like, I can't just go around breaking stuff once a week. Well, maybe if you just bought something cheap and broke it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe an egg. You could break an egg once a week, you'd be all right. Anyway, see, Warhol, bit overrated. 1994, Last Goodbye by Jeff Buckley, Spoon Man by Soundgarden, Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, Slide Away by Oasis this time, Loser by Beck, Juicy by the Notorious B.I.G., Tightrope by the Stone Roses, Cornflake Girl by Tori Amos, Tongue by R.E.M., they're in it again, and Ants Marching by the Dave Matthews Band. And the winner, one of my favorite songs, This Is a Low by Blur. I've talked about this before, so I won't go too into it, but he very cleverly writes about feeling down but uses the weather forecast to portray it. So, like, he talks about the weather map kind of around Britain. It's a great vocal by Damon Albarn. It's beautiful song live because it seems to connect with the audience on a kind of deep level, especially if they're Blur fans. There's one from Glastonbury in '94 that you should definitely check out. But it's gorgeous, and the organ in it is amazing, and that chorus is just one of those all timers for me. So yeah, this is Low by Blur. I hope you're writing these out, by the way, because you want to listen back to it. Like you'll. And anyway, look, by the end, I'll sum it all up. By the end, I'll read out the winners. 1995, which is surprisingly quiet considering all the other years. California Love by Tupac Shakur, Needle in the Hay by Elliott Smith, On Your Own by Blur. No, sorry, On Your Own by The Verve. He Thought of Cars by Blur, and the winner, Cast No Shadow by Oasis. Written about The Verve's frontman, Richard Ashcroft, or at least dedicated to him, basically to say, get up if you are, you're a genius, and start writing music. Couple of years later, the Verve will go on to release Urban Hymns, and the rest is kind of history. But Cast No Shadow was a great song by Oasis. It's my favorite song by Oasis, and I would never claim myself to be a huge Oasis fan. The whole Blur versus Oasis thing is such nonsense. I'm reading Graham Coxon, the guitarist from Blur. I'm reading his autobiography at the moment, and he talks about it as just a media thing, and that the bands were almost prodded and prompted to say, talk shit about the other band, so it'd be put in the press. But Cast No Shadow is just glorious, and I could have probably picked Champagne Supernova off What's the Story, and it probably would have won anyway. But Cast No Shadow was my favorite. So, as he faced the sun, he cast no shadow. That's a great song. That's a great line. So again, next year, 1996, a 14-year-old Derek is starting to. He's on a roll now. I've got Organ Donor by DJ Shadow, Where It's At by Beck, Ebo the Letter, REM again, The Beautiful People, Marilyn Manson, Fleeting Mind, Ocean Color Scene, If I Ruled the World, brackets, Imagine That by Nas featuring Lauryn Hill, Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine, but the winner, Novocaine for the Soul by Eels. I love the idea of Novocaine for the soul. Novocaine is something that, is given to people in the States when they are getting their teeth done, or, obviously at the dentist getting their teeth done. Where else would they get done? But it's a fascinating character. Mark Everett is the name, Mark E. Everett. So here's the tragedy that he had in his life, right? So his father died when he was 19, okay? His sister died by suicide in 96, and in 98, his mother, Nancy, was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. So his cousin was a flight attendant who perished on American Airlines Flight 77 during that struck the Pentagon in September 11th. All this happened in a kind of short period in his life, but he wrote a book about it, and you should definitely read it. It's brilliant. I think it's called Things My Grandchildren Should Know. I think that's the title is, but it's incredible. But I think that Novocaine for the soul, this idea that, like, if we're hurting that bad, or all these stuff is happening to us, and he's obviously someone who can write about this regardless of his tragedies, because this was obviously after his dad died. His dad, by the way, is a person who came up with the idea of a alternate universe, and like a parallel universe. So we have him to thank for all those crappy Marvel films. There we go. Blame his dad, but no. But he's a fascinating character. But Novocaine for the Soul is weird. It plays on loops, even though there are band deals there. It plays on a drum loop, and there's great Novocaine for the Soul before I settle down. There's a great sounding kind of synthy organ sound in it as well. So hang on just 1 second. Sorry, I have to blow my nose. Excuse me, break over. I can't let you hear me blow my nose on the mic. It'd be terrible. So yeah, Novocaine for the Soul by Eels, great band. Susan's House would have got in there as well, but I just was doing the one song, one album. 1997. This is the biggest tragedy on the whole list, that Beetle Bum by Blur isn't winning this year, because it's in my top 10. It's perfection. I read a music critic say that it's the whole Beatles White Album in one song. And then you listen to it, you're like, actually, that's a pretty good estimation. It's an amazing song, masterpiece. Sonnet by The Verve, again, I love that song. I played it in the first band I was in live, and I sing it an awful lot, and I've done it, on Instagram and things like that. Late in the Day by Supergrass, Hypnotized by the Notorious B.I.G., Mofo by U2, It's All About the Benjamins by P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Papa Diddy Pop, whatever his name is. I think it was Puff Daddy then, but I think it's by Puff Daddy and the Family. I'm pretty sure it is. It's a great song. The Winner, my second favorite song of all time, Karma Police by Radiohead, a song about what seemingly sounds like just rambling at the start, some weird imagery thrown together, and then that line, for a minute there, I lost myself, as if this was all a dream before it. And he's just after clicking into what's going on. And he sings for a minute there, I lost myself, over and over again. The video for Karma Police always stuck with me. I think about it every time I'm out for a run and I hear a car coming behind me. I think about that video. If you haven't seen the video, go and watch it and it'll make more sense to you. I do not carry a match with me though. It's just perfection. It's second favorite song of all time. What more can I say? Lyrics, music, the piano part. It's seemingly, well, according to the couple of Radiohead members, it's based on Sexy Sadie by Radiohead in its chord structure, and the opening is obviously influenced by it, the piano on its own. Yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with the OK Computer album anyway, but in particular, Karma Police. 16-year-old Derek in 1998, he's listening to, well, actually, I wasn't listening to some of the stuff that came about it after, like Goddess on a Highway by Mercury Rev, Ray of Light by Madonna, Spiders by System of a Down, Praise You by Fatboy Slim, If You Tolerate This, Your Children Will Be Next by the Manic Street Preachers, Secret Smile by Semisonic, Pure Morning by Placebo, but the winner is Teardrop by Massive Attack. Just the vocals. The vocals by oh no, here he is again. She was the singer in the Cocktail Twins that came up a bit earlier in the episode. Beth Gibbons? I shouldn't even be guessing, but anyway, look, it's the production on the song, the bass, like the just the very simple percussion, but perfect for what it is, and that melody. The video is cool as well, because when she was singing it, she was 8 months pregnant, so they decided to make a video of a baby in utero, and it looks so cool the way they did it. Whatever chicanery, whatever skillful studio work they were doing, it looks great. I can't really describe the song. You'll have to go listen to it. It's so hard to describe how cool it is, and all the little bits and pieces that are so good in it, But yeah, Teardrop by Massive Attack. 1999, starting to mature at this stage, apparently. Let Forever Be by Chemical Brothers. Testify, Rage Against the Machine. Other Side, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Natural Blues by Moby. Guilty Conscience by Eminem featuring Dr. Dre. Hurry Up and Wait, the Stereophonics. Writing to Reach You, Travis. In a Little While, U2. Party Up, brackets Up in Here by DMX, and Bent by Matchbox 20, a song I started to learn more about when I moved to America. Went to America for a few months, and I think that was the single off that album at the time, and I love it. It's a great song. But the winner, it's Blur again with Tender. So I got the piss ripped out of me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I wasn't a kid then, I was like 17 years of age, by my two brothers, who thought it was hilarious, and I don't know why this was funny to them. So they thought it was hilarious. They kept saying that I had bought the single Tender, and I bought the album, which is called 13 by Blur. And they thought it was ridiculous I bought the single and the album. Now, I know for a fact at the time that both myself and my brother had singles and albums off it. So, man, why is someone downstairs singing? I'm going to lose my mind. So I can't even remember what I was talking about. I'm right on the edge, folks. Yeah, so Tender. Anyway, I was getting the piss taken on me, but Tender was the perfect example of why at that time the whole Britpop thing had kind of faded away anyway. But you could see the difference between a band like Blur and other people, that they could produce something that was like a gospel song, have the backing vocals and things, but a very simple melody and like three chords. You know, it's a very simple song to play. The fact that it's the roles of the singing is swapped between Damon Albarn and Graham Coxon. I really like that as well. Uh, Particularly they start to go through some difficulty at this point in Blur, and it goes on for about 6 or 7 minutes. But if you see it live, then unfortunately haven't seen it live. But when you see it on YouTube, the it's like a spiritual moment. And I'm not a spiritual man, but I can see why that would be a spiritual moment for people. It's so good, the song. It would cross any generation, you know what I mean? It's not like just for that generation of, 15 to 25-year-olds. It cross into any generation. It's an amazing song. Go listen to it. Tender by Blur. The year 2000, we've got Miss Jackson by Outkast, Son of Sam by Elliott Smith, The Mess We're In by PJ Harvey featuring Tom York, Spies by Coldplay, and Money to Burn by Richard Ashcroft. The winner, it's Radiohead's second win, Everything in Its Right Place. I'd never heard anything like it. And I'm not sure I liked it on first listen. I just couldn't figure out what it was. The band that had made OK Computer were making this music now that to me sounded so, you know, so foreign. Like it made no sense. And then the more you listen to it, and the more you listen to it, and you listen to the lyrics that are Tom York's admission was having trouble with a writing block at the time and was picking lyrics out. I talked about this. I know I talked about this when I talked about Radiohead before, but the opening electric piano sound and the manipulation of the vocals, the electronic echoes and stuff going on, and it's just a ridiculously good song. And Everything in Its Right Place, the title almost seems like a bit of sarcasm, because everything didn't seem in its right place when you first heard that song. It seemed all over the place. It is spectacular. It was the only one that could win that year, even though I like all the songs I just named, but this had to win. 2001, Someday by The Strokes, Pyramid Song by Radiohead, Hashpipe by Weezer, Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott, A Man Needs to Be Told by The Charlatans, Dead Leaves and the Dirty Ground by The White Stripes, Fear or FEAR by Ian Brown, the winner, Toxicity by System of a Down. I got this album and I was going to the States with, I can't remember if it was with my friend Paul or with my girlfriend at the time. But my mum was over there, and I was going over, and I had my CD player, my CD Walkman. What were they called? Discman. And I had the album Toxicity, and I was on the plane, and I'd never heard it, and I put it on, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I had heard Chop Suey because everybody kind of had heard that at the time. But Toxicity, like, that song is outrageously good. It's heavy. It's got some vocals that were new to me because they're of Armenian descent, the band, and he brought in some of those. This is what I learned afterwards. He brought in some of the vocals, and they use a lot of rhythms that would be in Armenian traditional music, and it's just outrageous, and it's heavy as anything. The drummer's an absolute savage. It's so good. It's one of my favorite rock songs. It's up there anyway. 2002, I started writing out 2002, and I almost ran out of space. It was a bumper year. I was 20 years old, 20 years of age. Come Undone by Robbie Williams, Homesick by The Vines, Cry Me a River, Justin Timberlake, PDA, Interpol, A Song for the Dead, Queens of the Stone Age, Politic, Coldplay, Hurt, the cover, I think that's the first cover in there, Johnny Cash, You Know You're Right, Nirvana, Do You Realize by The Flaming Lips, Miss Lucifer, Primal Scream, Cold Water, Damien Rice, I Am Highway, Audio Slave, Cleaning Out My Closet, Eminem, and the winner is Jesus, Etc. by Wilco. A song that it came about after the event. First time I heard it, I thought that some of the great lyrics that I've ever heard in a song, but there was twangs of country in it, and I was like, should I like this song? That slide, that very, which is kind of very almost unique to country music. And I didn't really follow Wilco that much, even though they were called the American Radiohead because of how they jumped around in genres. But the first time I heard Jesus, Etc., and the way he sings it as well, Jeff Tweedy. If you don't know it, it's better that you listen to it without me explaining it to you, because There's so much going on in the song. Um, and some of the lyrics, there was the whole idea that it was post 9/11 and tall buildings shake, voices escape, singing sad, sad songs. They were saying that this was about 9/11, but Jeff Tweedy had written it before that, and it was just one of those coincidences. But it's amazing. It's on an album called Yankee Foxtrot Hotel, which is great as well. So yeah, go listen to Wilco anyway if you haven't already. Okay, 2003, 21 years of age. Ball and a Biscuit, The White Stripes, 99 Problems, Jay-Z, Roses, Outcast, Out of Time, Blur, Painkiller, Turin Breaks, Molly's Chamber, Kings of Leon, Maps, Yeah, Yeah, Yeahs. Said that really weird. Maps, Yeah, Yeah, Yeahs. Pass It On, The Coral, Vessel in Vain, Smog. Oh, what a song. And the winner for the third time, it's There There by Radiohead. At this stage, they were just in the creative peak, and There is just, I heard it live actually, and the three of them start playing the drums on the toms, doom, 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 doom. It's very rhythmic, the song. But then the guitar comes in, there's a bit of feedback, and there's a cool little bass groove going on in it. And when it kicks off in the middle, when the solo comes in, and then it kind of goes down back into just the drums and it's one of my favorite songs. It's incredible. I think that might be the last time Radiohead win, although I can't be sure. Um, 2004, Neighborhood number one, brackets, Tunnels, Arcade Fire, Evil by Interpol, The Dark of the Matinee, Franz Ferdinand, Float On by Modest Mouse, nearly forgot. Jesus of Suburbia, Green Day, Original of the Species, U2, All These Things That I've Done, The Killers, Can't Stand Me Now, The Libertines, Bed Shaped by Keane, and the winner. This was a heartbreaker for me because I was going through a breakup at the time, and Dry Your Eyes by The Streets. I think it's a gorgeous song. I don't think Mike Skinner's ever got near it with some of the other songs he's written. I do like The Streets, particularly the first three albums. I really like some of the stuff on it. But I don't think he's ever got close to this because I think everyone can relate to it, and the fact that someone's breaking up to you and you're breaking up with you, and you're saying you'll do anything to win them over, even you're going beyond stuff that you will do just to kind of say, oh look, I'll do better or I'll be better, and the fact that like the line "dry your eyes, mate," is something that your friend would say. It's right on the nose, and everybody can, like I said, could relate to the song. And Mike Skinner just doesn't seem the type to write such a song, but there you go, he did. 2005, Gold Digger by Kanye West, El Manana by El Manana. Tomorrow it means in Spanish, by the Gorillas. Hope There's Someone by Anthony and the Johnsons. Banquet by Block Party. Forever for Her Is Over for Me by the White Stripes. Radio Video by System of a Down. Speed of Sound by Coldplay. That's the sound. You Only Live Once, The Strokes. Burn the Witch by Queens of the Stone Age. But the winner it's the first B-side on the list, and I don't know how it's a B-side. LCD Sound System with Losing My Head. Ever want to hear a song about getting older, but trying to convince other people that you're still cool? That's what that's about. It's 9 minutes long, and it's just a journey. 2006, Stuck Between Stations by The Whole Steady, Harrow Hill by Tom York, Read My Mind, The Killers, God's Gonna Cut You Down, Johnny Cash, Roscoe by Midlake, Steady As She Goes by the Raconteurs, Empire by Kasabian, Patience by Take That, Shut Your Eyes by Coldplay, Shut Your Eyes by Snow Patrol. We used to be struggling now. We used to Vacation by Cold War Kids, and the winner, and they popped their head into the world and became very, very famous. A Certain Romance by Arctic Monkeys. Everybody talks about Alex Turner as a lyricist, and I think particularly on the first album, you can kind of see why, or where the hype was about just out and about in Sheffield and just basically writing down what he sees and telling it. It's an incredible song. It's so cool as well, that kind of thing of as if it's will we keep rolling kind of a thing, and you'll hear it when you listen to it, and please do listen to it. It's is it my favorite song of theirs? It probably is, yeah. Well, we're going to find out if they come up again. 2007, Turn on Me by the Shins, All My Friends, LCD Sound System, 15 Step by Radiohead, Intervention, Arcade Fire. Start a War by The National. Homecoming, Kanye West. If the Brakeman Turns My Way by Bright Eyes. Nearly missed it there. Men's Needs by The Cribs. I Still Remember by Black Party. Calm Down Dearest by Jamie T. Kids by MGMT. Your Love Alone Is Not Enough by Manic Street Preachers featuring Nina from the Cardigans. Nearly got missed it. The Winner, Paper Planes by MIA. You'll probably know it. First time I heard it was in blaring in a cinema. It was in the film Slumdog Millionaire, and it's there's a scene where the kids get up on a train on the roof, and there's loads of people hanging out the train on the roof and all that, and that starts playing. And the first time I heard it, I was like, "That's an incredible song," and I bought the album. And she's great. MIA. She has a documentary out about her and she played at the. I don't know sometimes I forget if I mentioned this in podcasts, but she played at the Super Bowl with Madonna, I think, and she gave the finger to the camera, and there was more about it, but it's all played out on the camera on the documentary. But Paper Planes, I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me on the border, I get visa to my names. It's great. There's some great lines in it. And all I want to do is money, and there's all these little sound effects and a gun shooting and a catch register. I'm really struggling with my words. I think I can only talk for half an hour before I start to kind of fall apart, which is interesting because sometimes I never shut up. Well, I have to do it on this, but even out and about. 2008, The Rip by Portishead, Heartless, Kanye West, Dig Lazarus Dig by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Cape Cod Kwasa Kwasa by the Vampire Weekend, Ready for the Floor by Hot Chip, Warwick Avenue by Duffy, Two Doors Down by the Mystery Jets. I think they're just called Mystery Jets. Mr. Richards, REM, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant. And the winner, One Day Like This by Elbow. Everybody knows this song. It was played at the Olympics in London. It was played at every event that had to have a glorious ending. I think Elbow end the concerts, or they used to anyway, their concerts with it. Throw Your Curtains Wide. One day like your curtains wide. One day like this will see me right. Yeah, throw your curtains wide. One day like this will see me right. And it's one of those like Hey Jude like endings to a song. And again, when you see them performing it live, it's that the power of the collective that we had Dave Randall on, who played with Fateless, talking about the power of the collective, and that's certainly a sense you get with that song. It's a great vocal by Guy. I can never remember his surname, but Guy is his first name. Right, 2009. Down Boy by Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine, Cornerstone by Arcade Monkeys, Many of Horror by what are they called? Can't remember. I'll come back to them. Moment of Surrender by U2, His Master's Voice by Monsters of Folk. Like, if you haven't heard that song, you need to check it out. Biffy Clyro wrote Many of Horror. Sorry. Blue Lips by I should have written down Regina Spektor. Sorry, Blue Lips by Regina Spektor, and the winner, Bulletproof by LaRue. A lot of people won't necessarily know who LaRue is. They won't necessarily heard of the song Bulletproof, but they'll probably know it. It's on one of my playlists in the gym. This time maybe I'll be bulletproof. A great that's a great line that could fall into anything that you're feeling. Breakups, whatever it is. I really like her voice. They unfortunately didn't last very long. It was a duo, but they did release a couple of great songs, and Bulletproof is just it's great. I mean, it beat out some very good competition there. So 2010, A Quiet Year. We've got I Can Change by LCD Sound System, Runaway by The National, Contra by Vampire Weekend, Crossfire by Brandon Flowers, and the winner is Sprawl 2 brackets Mountains Beyond Mountains by Arcade Fire. Very lucky on this particular tour, got to see Arcade Fire play this live, and just the power of the song, the bounce, and it changes it up. But God, I should have checked out the names of the. I used to know her name. I think it's Regine, and she sings it, and she just exudes fun and um confidence. And it's such a it's kind of an 80s sounding song actually, really, but it's one of those songs that I would obviously recommend because it won this year. We have a couple of quiet years coming up actually. 2011, Codex by Radiohead, Under Cover of Darkness by The Strokes, Rope by the Foo Fighters, but the winner, Shake It Out by Florence and the Machine. Everybody knows the song. It was on everything. Actually, strange enough, my landlady used to watch X Factor. I think the first time I heard it was when Florence and the Machine played on the X Factor, and they played this song. And it's yeah, I think I started as I was aging. I started to need the bounce and the joy of songs. I could no longer dwell in the misery of breakup songs anymore. And this certainly is anything but. But it's joyful, and it's the whole thing of shaking things out and moving on with positivity and stuff. And I need to hold on to that. 2012, We Are Young by FUN, fun I guess. Been Away Too Long by Soundgarden, Money Trees by I should have written his name down. Hold on a second now. Is it Kendrick Lamar? I think it is. Or maybe it's not. I only hold on. Let me just check because I have to get things right. Um, Money Trees song. Okay. Yeah, it is Kendrick Lamar. Fair enough. I did get it right. I should have trusted my instincts. That dude won a Pulitzer, which is amazing. Uh, yeah, I only heard this song when he performed at Glastonbury last year. So I was like 11 years behind the game. But when I heard this song, I was like, that's just genius. So I had to get it. And then I started listening to more Kendrick Lamar and realizing, like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. Pretty much. 2013, we started to get a bit more busy. We've got Yeah Hey by Vampire Weekend. It's Never Over, brackets Hey Orpheus, Arcade Fire. I Should Live in Salt by The National. Don't Save Me by Haim. The Mother We Share by Churches. Royals by Lord. The Monster featuring Rihanna by Eminem. Dance Apocalyptic by Janelle Monáe. Ingenue, I think it's pronounced, Atoms for Peace. Mirrors by Justin Timberlake. Jubilee Street by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. But the winner, not my favorite person, New Slaves by Kanye West. I mean, everything Kanye does with beats and production is always brilliant, right? So that's can't be argued against. I don't always think his lyrics are great, but I do think his lyrics are brilliant in New Slaves. My favorite thing about New Slaves is the last third of it, when it goes into the different sound and it becomes obviously Kanye is using the vocal changer, the 808, to make him sound like the auto tune, and it just works. It doesn't work for everybody, but it just works because we all know he can't actually sing. So he's using it as a musical instrument rather than trying to cheat you out of thinking that he can sing. But it sounds very like 70s or even before, kind of Motowny sound in the 60s. And I love it. I love the invention of it because not many people are doing it. And he is a genius when it comes to music, not really when it comes to life choices. 2014, we've got Huey Newton by St. Vincent, Chandelier by Sia, Say Something, Say Something, say that again, Derek. Say Something by A Great Big World featuring Christina Aguilera, From Eden by Hozier, Lazzarato by Jack White, St. Claude by Christine and the Queens, Budapest by George Ezras, and the winner is Seasons by Future Islands. Go and watch Seasons by Future Islands on Letterman and tell me that isn't the most iconic moment in the last 15 years of music. A guy dressed like Marlon Brando meets Fred Astaire, singing a kind of synthy pop song and growling into the mic like some sort of a savage. Or just go and listen to the album version where he doesn't growl into the mic, but it's his dancing as well. It's glorious. Everything about it. Go watch it. Brilliant song though. 2015, one song. That was it. One song. But I think this song would have won regardless. Blur made their comeback, and their opening track and their opening single from their album Magic Whip was Lonesome Street, and it's so good. It like when Oasis, I don't mean to bring Oasis every time I mention Blur, but it just in my head this morning when I was thinking about this. When Oasis were came out, they were described as the Beatles, and Blur were described as the Kinks because he talked about kind of life, um, and what he saw, observational lyrics. Lonesome Street does sound like the Beatles to me. I love the fact that Damon Albarn is the music is bouncy and Damon Albarn is kind of positive in it, even though it's called Lonesome Street. But then when it goes shifts to the minor key, Graham Coxon sings in it, and he is the self-described moany, miserable gate of the band, and it just works perfectly. And it's a little bouncy tune. And when it came out, I was like, Jesus, when bands get older, they tend to get worse. And they like U2's a good example where the albums don't mean anything anymore. It's more about touring. They just release albums for the sake of it, and then they start touring again. They don't have they don't write great songs anymore. Blur, because of what they do, take huge gaps and come back. And Damon Albarn's a freak when it comes to writing songs and putting stuff out there. He's constantly releasing stuff like with the Gorillas and all other stuff. It's a great song, Lonesome Street. 2016, not as quiet, but still pretty quiet. We the People by Tribe Called Quest. Starboy by The Weeknd. Dark Necessities by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And Find Me by... What's that? Oh, Kings of Leon. It looked like HOL. But the winner is Deck Stark by Radiohead. They win it for a fourth time. Like I said, it wasn't a great year. Starboy by The Weeknd would have been close. Deck Stark, I was listening to it on the stereo when the album came out, and the song starts off with kind of a trip hop beat, and Tom York is singing with some piano, and then the bass comes in, and I had it loud enough, but the bass was like right, like right there and right there, bang in front of you, and it's my favorite song of the album. So, and I do love a Moonshaped Pool album, and so Deck Stack by Radiohead wins. 2017, we're getting there, folks. Don't worry, we're getting there. Hope I haven't bored you yet. Green Light by Lord, Tonight by LCD Sound System, For What It's Worth. What's for? Sorry. Want You Back by Haim. Let Me Out by Gorillaz. Thunder by Imagine Dragons. What's For What It's Worth? Is that not a song by Buffalo Springfield? Let me see. They're always like the longest titles you have to look up as well. 2017. For What It's Worth. Oh, Liam Gallagher. Oops. Yeah, Liam Gallagher's solo work, For What It's Worth. But the winner might be a shock to some. Sign of the Times by Harry Styles. I spoke about this before. I was at my grandmother's funeral, and I was hiding upstairs in my granddad's office. I was so anxious and stuff. I didn't want to talk to people, and obviously, hurting, grieving in my own particular way. And my sister-in-law Breed was bringing up food to me, and everybody was coming up checking me, which was very nice. But I saw this on YouTube. I saw this thing pop up, and it said Harry Styles on SNL, Sign of the Times, and I thought he's hardly doing a version of Sign of the Times, thinking it was the Prince song. And when I looked it up, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was his own song, and damn, it was good. And he clearly has a cold in that version, and he can't quite hit the notes. When I watched it again in a different version, he was hitting the notes and everything. But it's so good, and I sent it to someone, and I can't remember who it was, and they were like, "Well, it sounds like a crap Robbie Williams song," and I was like, "What?" You can't win them all, can you? But it's great. Most people know what the song anyway. 2018, Humility by Gorillaz, 4 out of 5 by Arcade Monkeys. Africa, the cover, second cover in there by Weezer. I was so surprised by how good that was. Yikes by Kanye West. And the winner is Shallow, Lady Gaga, and Bradley Cooper from the film The Star Is Born. In the shallow. We all know it. In the shallow. That's me doing Bradley Cooper, doing whatever the name of the character in the film is. It's great. It's a great song. The whole thing around it was getting a bit weird when it was like, oh, are they going out with each other? And even the Oscar performance was a bit, bit calmed down a bit, but it won the Oscar, and it's great. That's the only one of a film that wins. 2019, we're getting a bit, we're not as rich with songs now, but 2019, Nothing Breaks Like a Heart. It's by that fellow I don't like, Mark Ronson, but it features a great vocal by Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter, Miley. I nearly forgot about her name there. The Tale of Jenny and Screech by Ren, and Falling by Harry Styles. And the winner is Numa, Pneuma, by Tool. I saw, what's his name? I nearly call him Jim Carrey. That's not his name. His surname is Carey, but it's not Jim. I saw the drummer of Tool play this. The camera's on him when he's playing it online. Go to that. Go to watch the drummer from Tool play Numa. It's 11 minutes and he's outrageous. They call him the Octopus for a reason. It's a great song, but the drums are just. So the next 2 years, one song I could find in either of these. And 2020 is borderline. I'm not sure how much I love this song, but I do like it. But maybe it's overplayed and it's played in the gym a lot. Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. You'll all know it. Din, 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 din. Most 80s sounding song. We did kind of revert to the 80s in the late 2020s, I think, or 2010s. We reverted to the 80s quite a bit. But Blinding Lights is a really good song. It's just overplayed, unfortunately. 2021, one song again, Solar Power by Lord. Go and listen to it. It's clearly a rip-off of George Michael, Faith, but she said it herself. She said it was like a tribute to him, which is, fair enough if you want to do that. But it's great. I love it. I love her. I think she's a great artist. She's been in this list 3 times. So she gets 2021. 2022, Plan B by Megan Thee Stallion. I'd like to say to my mother and to my father, please don't listen to that song. The Smoke by The Smile, Moderation by Kate LeBon, and Black Summer by Red Hot Chili Peppers. The winner, though, is High Ren by Ren. If you haven't been hit in the face with this on YouTube and you haven't experienced what this is yet, there's a live performance of him playing out the characters. Well, it's not fully on live, but he's an amazing guitarist, great rapper, good singer, lyricist out of this world. But it's about when he had Lyme disease and felt that he was going out of his mind and he couldn't find a doctor to listen to and stuff. But just watch the YouTube clip. It's been watched so many times by so many people, but it's more than just a song. It's a performance and it's a statement. And also something about mental health, which is put into the mainstream again in 2022 by someone who obviously really wanted to talk about it. And this year we're in August. By the time this comes out, it'll be September, and there's actually a few, and I'm very surprised. So I.O. by Peter Gabriel, he's back. Emotion Sickness by Queens of the Stone Age. This song made me want to buy a ticket for a concert, which I'm going to in November. That's how good this song is. That can force me to go to a concert. Easy Now by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Barbaric by Blur. They're back with a new album. I could have picked 3 or 4 songs off this album to put here, but I went with Barbaric because I think it's become quite apparent that, like the Smiths and like I talked about Lonesome Street, I love happy sounding tunes to sad lyrics because it messes with my head a bit. But the winner, Eat Your Young by Hozier, if you haven't listened to it, like, he is the best Irish artist at the moment, probably for the last few years since he released his debut album. He's an absolutely brilliant songwriter. Seems like a sound guy. But Eat Your Young, skinning your children for a war drum is a line out of it, and that to me is just creeps me out a bit. So Hozier wins the last one. So let me run through. We got through it, folks. Well, whoever stayed with me, we got through it. Let me run through the list. Okay, 1982, Rock the Casbah by The Clash. 1983, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Cyndi Lauper. 84, How Soon Is Now, The Smiths. 85, Running Up That Hill, Kate Bush. 86, Graceland, Paul Simon. 87, Red Hill Mining Town, U2. 88, Nothing But Flowers, Talking Heads. 89, Free Falling, Tom Petty. 1990, Step On, The Happy Mondays. 91, Estranged, Guns N' Roses. 92, Digging in the Dirt, Peter Gabriel. 93, Dissident, Pearl Jam. 94, This Is a Low, Blur. 95, Cast No Shadow, Oasis. 96, Novocaine for the Soul by Eels. 97, Karma Police, Radiohead. 98, Teardrop, Massive Attack. 99, Tender, Blur. 2000, Everything in Its Right Place, Radiohead. 01, Toxicity, System of a Down. 02, Jesus, etc., Wilco. 03, There, Radiohead. 04, Dry Your Eyes, The Streets. 05, Losing My Edge, LCD Sound System. 06, A Certain Romance, Arctic Monkeys. 07, Paper Planes, MIA. '08, One Day Like This, Elbow. '09, Bulletproof, LaRue. 2010, Sprawl 2, Mountains Beyond Mountains by Arcade Fire. 2011, Shake It Out, Florence and the Machine. 2012, Hold On, Alabama Shakes. 2013, New Slaves, Kanye West. 2014, Seasons, Future Islands. 2015, Lonesome Street, Blur. 2016, Dex Stark, Radiohead. 2017, Sign of the Times, Harry Styles. 2018, Shallow, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. 2019, Numa, Tool. 2020, Blinding Lights, The Weekend. 2021, Solar Power, Lord. 2022, High Ren by Ren. And 2023, Eat Your Young by Hosier. I felt like a disc jockey there. I felt like John Peel reading out the charts. Except when he read out the regular charts, it was kind of disdainful. Whereas I'm very happy with the list I made. Actually, hold on. Maybe did I skip a year or something? Did I skip a year? I think I might have actually. What? Because nobody did. I mention Alabama Shakes? No. Oh, yeah, that's what I skipped. I didn't mention. I said 2012, Money Trees. I got distracted by that. Then I said We Are Young, Phone, Been Away Too Long, Soundgarden. But I didn't say Hold On by Alabama Shakes, did I? Anyway, it's brilliant. I love the drums in that. It's so easy. It's not a hard drum beat, but it's about her. She's talking to herself in the song. She literally mentions her name, Brittany, in the song. But it's like, hold on. If you're struggling, we'll get back to where we want to be. It's a great song. Go listen to that as well. I apologize to, obviously she'll be listening to this, but I apologize to Alabama Shakes and Brittany. Sorry. Listen, if you did listen all the way through, have a go at this yourself. Even if you want to pick the most kind of fruitful years of your life, music wise, and try and whittle down to maybe 4 or 5 songs just to see. And if you do that, let me know. And I won't judge harshly, but I'll judge. So thanks very much to John for the tech. As always, thanks to my mom, my granddad, Jern Calvin. You can subscribe to us on YouTube or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it's called. Well, I know it's called X, but you know what I mean. It's weird to start calling it X now. Spotify, Apple Anchor, Google Podcasts, etc. Listen, there's loads of songs. There's 41 great songs I gave you, and then there's a load of other songs around it that if you want to listen to, do. If there's a song on this that you haven't heard and you thought that's a great song, please get back to me and let me know, because that's the whole point. It's about community, not just about me talking about my music. But anyway, listen, whoever stayed tuned all the way through, thank you so much for doing so. I'll be back next week. Take care. Bye.